Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, let's get started. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Okay, so the hadith for today's session is Kun fid dunya ka'annaka gharibun aw abirun sabilin. So it's a very straightforward translation that stay in dunya, like you should be in this world as if you are a gharibun, which actually is not like in Urdu, gharib means someone who's poor or destitute, but in Arabic, gharib is referred to something that is strange, something that is ajib. The word ajib that we use is kind of the same word for gharib in Arabic. So you're instructed to stay in this world as if you are a stranger or abirus sabilin, which means as if you are a traveler or a wayfarer. So somebody who's passing by from a place and he is headed towards a destination. So that is the kind of way in which you are instructed to be in this world. Now it's very interesting because the reason why I wanted to bring this hadith forward was so that we can sort of zoom in to the mindset of these two types of people. And interestingly, it's very interesting that a majority people in their life are either of one and even both, right? So we do have experiences where we go to places where we feel like a stranger, right? We don't know anyone in that place, right? And or we most people do have experiences of traveling, and it's not necessary for that you're doing an international travel or any travel of like a very grand scale. It could be a simple travel from your own house to maybe an institution or to work. So the sort of the sense of being a traveler and the sense of being a stranger, these two things, almost everyone in the world experiences it, either one or both in most cases. So that's the first very interesting aspect of the word that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has chosen, because it's relatable to us, right? Now, as we have discussed the relatableness of the words, we can sort of go deeper into the mindset of a person who is a stranger or a person who is a traveler. The few things that come to mind when you think of being a stranger is what? Maybe, Irman, you would like to bring something up. What kind of mindset does a stranger have?
Maybe that if you're to some in some place, you wouldn't want to attach your feelings, or you wouldn't really be expecting a lot from that particular place or the people there. You'd be very much self-reliant, but also looking forward to your next destination.
Amazing, great. So, number one, your expectations won't be very high, because you're a stranger. You don't know the kind of people you're surrounded with, you don't know the kind of place you are in. So, you won't be expecting a lot of things. You won't be associating a lot of emotions and feelings to that particular place or that group of people that you're with, right? You would also try to sort of be your amiable self, as in that you wouldn't be picking up fights when you're a stranger at some place, right? You don't know people, so you don't have any backup or support. So you don't know the way the people in front of you are going to react. So you will try to be at in a cordial, manner with them. You will try to be friendly, you try to be nice, or some people are also reserved, but mostly you wouldn't be picking up fights or unnecessarily causing problems in a place where you are a stranger. Then you wouldn't really feel very connected to that place. You wouldn't want to stay your entire life in that place, or you wouldn't want to really enjoy and just be completely engulfed in experiencing that place or that moment, right? Because you would be a stranger feels a bit, like a bit constricted, as if they are supposed to protect themselves and they're supposed to fare for themselves. So that's the kind of feeling a stranger has. And as for a traveler, same goes for a traveler, that you are looking towards your destination. You don't you, even if the path that which you're crossing to get to your destination, whatever issues you might be facing. For example, you miss your bus and you have to stay at the station for a couple of hours before you get to the next one. Or for example, the bus takes a very long route and you end up getting to your destination later than you were supposed to, or you do not like the facilities provided in the bus. For instance, the food that you've been given is not up to your standards, or the kind of seating in the bus, etc. Or maybe you get travelers with you who are not like the kind of people you would be associating with, or people you might not find pleasant in terms of having their company. So these kind of things could actually happen as a traveler, and we are already prepared for such things. We don't really care because we're more focused on getting to our destination. And these things seem very small, insignificant to us, right? Another thing about being a traveler is something very interesting. If you, because inshallah, once we think of all these points, then we're going to connect it to how we should be living our life, considering these points, right? So another thing that when I read this hadith that really jumped into my head was that somebody I know had recently, when I was reading this hadith, had recently traveled to a destination abroad, and they because they had a transit somewhere in between before their, like, to get to their destination, the luggage that they had taken, all of it, actually the carry on, they didn't take any carry on, everything was checked bag. And the luggage got, like, it did not get transferred to their final destination. It got lost in transit. So then they had to, when they got to the destination, that's when they found out that the luggage that they had is no longer with them, right? And that little story really opens so many gates to the kind of experience a traveler has. Number one, the luggage analogy. Every traveler has some sort of luggage, right? If you're traveling for a long distance, you might have a lot more things in your luggage. If you're traveling, for example, you're traveling to work, then you would have fewer things. You'd have your important files. You'll have, maybe as for a female, you have a makeup kit or something to just touch up yourself. So you'll have your laptop charger, your laptop, your mobile charger, your headphones, stuff like that, right? Obviously, your wallet, the money, that's very important. Your ATM cards, your money should be with you, like smaller things that are important for your destination. Similarly, for a longer stay, you would be requiring more things. However, you do not pack your entire life, all things, you don't pack them when you are going anywhere. You take limited things that are necessary. You don't add unnecessary things into your luggage space. That's the first thing. As a traveler, you just have, for instance, 23 kgs, or you have like 20 kg baggage, or 7 kg, or whatever, and 15 kgs, and you have to be very particular that you are not putting in things that are unnecessary, right? So for example, if you're going to a destination and you know that it's not going to be cold, it's going to be mild temperature, we check the temperature, in fact, and we then decide that, okay, I'm not going to put these cardigans or these woolen sweaters inside because they're going to take up more space. And that's how we plan our luggage space, right? What we are going to take. We make sure that we do not fill it up with unnecessary things. So that is number one. We try to take what is needed and leave behind what is not needed. That's the first thing as a traveler. What are you carrying? You carry only things that you would be needing. Second thing, how do you figure out what you would be needing? By thinking about it. You think about the kind of things that you would be required. You plan your days that, okay, I will have X number of beach days and I will have X number of exploration days. And so, according to that, I should have these many flip flops and these many boots and stuff, whatever. You plan ahead for that destination, for that travel. That is the second thing in your luggage. The third thing is the importance of your luggage, right? If you end up at your destination without your luggage, that is one of the biggest fears of a traveler, because they have everything planned and then it is a significant financial cost, because then you have to buy new clothes and stuff. And then also, you've planned everything and suddenly all your planning and everything is gone to waste, and that is a moment, literally you can imagine the kind of emotion that would flash across the face of a person when he finds out at the conveyor belt that their luggage is hasn't arrived from their transit destination. That face, that expression of complete like that expression of shock and that expression of, oh my god, what has happened, that expression, we can imagine it, right? So these are the three things that the luggage analogy helps us understand, the traveler analogy. And then again, the some of the points are connected to being a stranger, that when you are traveling, when you are at a new destination, and if it's not the final destination, if you have to go back somewhere else as well, then the kind of emotions you associate to that place, the kind of troubles you get into to remain in that place and stuff like that. Now, if we connect it all to the way we should be living in this world, now you can imagine that this world is like a big travel expedition. The days and the minutes of your life, and if you think about it, it is so true, because it's not like we are going to stay in a single space for all our life and gonna die over there. Most people don't experience that. Most people in their entire lifespan, they have fixed number of days they're going to spend in a particular house. Then they move, maybe they get married, maybe they move abroad. XYZ things happen. They might change houses, they might change cities, they might change countries. A lot of things can happen to an individual in their lifespan. So it is like a constant long travel itinerary that we have, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows where we're going to be when, but it is like we're on the move. It is like we're always moving ahead, and our final destination is that very small piece of land that is our grave. That is our final destination, right? So so if we now place all the points that we understood from being a stranger and being a traveler onto how we should be living in the dunya, this is how it would look like. So the luggage analogy would, in when I was talking about losing it, it would actually, or only putting stuff that is going to be of need, that is of how your time should be arranged. Your luggage is your time. The time that you have on this dunya, it is limited. You have limited time. You have limited space. Like in luggage, you have a limited space. You can only put important things in it. Your time is also that way. You have limited number of hours, limited number of days, months. It's all written when you're going to die. So what you need to do as a traveler in this dunya is to make sure that whatever is occupying the space in your time is beneficial, is what you will be needing when you get to your final destination. And if you start thinking of your days in that manner, or even if it is just this, that the moment you pack your bag the next time for your traveling, and when you're figuring out what you should keep and what you shouldn't, the kind of brain that you're putting into it, if you start putting that into your life, that what am I putting my hours to, what am I putting my days to, my months to, what are those things, are they going to benefit me on my final destination? Your final destination is when you will be basically it is the qabr, but the qabr is basically then it's the journey has ended, and now whatever you've brought as your luggage is going to be presented on the day of judgment, and that's when the decision will be made, right? So the point is that your time is the luggage space of a traveler, and you need to be making sure that you are filling your luggage space with things that will be beneficial to you when you reach your final destination. So that is number one. Number two, the Quranic ayahs that you get, which talk about the kafir, or the non-Muslim, the ones who will end up going to Jahannam. the examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses when he describes that how will they feel on the day of judgment. If you now start thinking of it, it is very similar to the kind of feeling of loss of this really this feeling of something really like this unsettling feeling, this feeling like your heart drops, that kind of feeling that is explained in the Quran as well, that their faces are going to get dark and they're going to regret that, oh, I wish I would have done that, and the kind of the kind of feeling they will have, that is described in the Quran. You can actually kind of, not completely obviously, but sort of try to understand it when thinking of a traveler who ends up at the airport with their luggage gone. And that is the kind of feeling that a person would have in the akhirah if the luggage, whatever they were collecting for their akhirah, ends up being wasted. It when they get to the akhirah, it's not there anymore. And in the Quran and in the Hadith also, this is also mentioned. So number one was making sure that you have enough when you get there that you can fulfill your need. The second is also making sure that you what you have collected gets there. Because these are the two things. Number one, as a traveler, you make your bag according to what you would be needing. So you fill this space in accordance to that. The second thing is that your bag reaches your destination. Similarly, the amal that you are collecting with the limited space time that you have, you collect as much as you can so that you can present it and it can fulfill your need in the akhirah. And the second thing is that it gets to the final destination, because that is where people think that just because I'm doing it means it's kabul, it's accepted. That's not how it works. For it to be accepted, there needs to be sincerity, there needs to be so many other things. You cannot be lying and frauding people and having money of riba and taking interest and then going for hajj with that money. You can't do that. Similarly, you cannot have an intention of showing off to people how pious and amazing you are. And that is the reason why you're praying so many nawafil or in tahajjud, so that people will see that, oh, my light opens, of my room opens at night, and then people know that I'm praying. So sincerity of your intentions, um, your treatment of others, right? The way you are behaving with people. So many things come into play when it's about whether you'll be able to get that luggage of yours to your final destination. And there are multiple ahadith and Quranic ayahs that talk about this. For instance, the hadith that's coming to my mind is that the Prophet said there are so many people who whose fasts, they would fast a lot, but their fasts would be nothing but them doing faka, them starving themselves, and who stand up at night for hours, but it's nothing but just them leaving their sleep. So the reason was because of, now it's an open-ended hadith. There can be multiple reasons for that, but what the Jamhur ulama have understood is the intentions that they had for those actions, or the fact that maybe they were doing grave Islamically like grave sins, and along with that, just doing these actions and thinking that they are just collecting so many amal for the akhirah. So the purity of your heart is extremely important for your luggage to get to your final destination. So that is an understanding from the traveler analogy. Then the stranger analogy is this beautiful aspect of being istaghna, being detached, not associating emotions to uh, the place you're in, not associating too much, investing yourself a lot into your current situation, whatever it is, that it becomes the entire reason for your being. If it's a lifestyle, so the entire reason of your being, all minutes of your life are spent in maintaining that lifestyle. That lifestyle is so important to you. It could be anything. So nothing should be so important to you that you lose sight of your final destination, right? And in the concept of stranger is that a stranger is a person, eventually the stranger goes back home into a familial environment. So for us, what we get from the hadith is that um, all of us, we are Bani Adam, and we're actually in this world as strangers because we have our homes back in paradise already, and we were there already. So then we were sent down on the earth, and the entire concept of ihdial and all of that happened. But the point is that we have a place we will be returning to already. Like, it could be the qabr that we will be returning to, because it's something that has been decided where we will be buried, and every day the qabr calls on to the person that is going to be buried in it. Or it could be the Jannat that we have been promised and we will return to it. So these things, so we are strangers in this world. So we shouldn't attach ourselves to this world or anything of this world. And we should remember that we will go back to our home. We will go back to our original resting place. And hence, we should not care about where we are today or the people around us. So what this would, the mindset that a person who understands the stranger concept would be that they would be very, they wouldn't be interested. They would ikhtiyar zuhud. Now, zuhud is a concept in Islam that is basically about leaving or abstaining from worldly desires, and your entire existence is focused on the hereafter, and you try to empty your heart from desires that are other than the desire of pleasing Allah or attaining the pleasure of Allah, right? And this zohad can be understood as two parts of it. It's qana'ah, which means to feel enough with what you have. So, not having this problem of hoarding more and more, not having extreme hedonistic desires of consumerism. So, these kind of things. So, you're happy, you're content with what you have. Whatever Allah gives you, you're happy with it. Be it less, be it more, you are happy with whatever Allah has given you. And tawassuth, which means you make sure that there is a balance in your life. Now, this balance, it's very interesting that, there's this the dua that I think a lot of Muslims know this dua more than other duas of the Quran. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So when it's talked about hasanat in the dunya and hasanat in the akhirah, people tend to think of good things in this world, so good worldly things, and good things in the akhirah. But actually, that's not what it means. It means hasanat in this world means good things that would act, that are, because how does Islam understand hasanat? It doesn't understand hasanat as having a big house or the multiple international vacations daily or having a big bank balance. That's not Islamic understanding of hasana. Islamic understanding would be the ability to do good deeds in this world. So that's what the balance is being talked about. That you're able to increase the hasanat in this dunya and the hasanat in your akhirah. So you're able to do as much good deeds as possible so that this world becomes beautiful, and you are also able to also able to collect as much good as possible for your akhirah, so that the akhirah is beautiful as well. So that is how you're supposed to understand it, and that is how the mindset of an individual who understands that he is a stranger in this world is, because they understand that we are not going to live in this world forever. So there is no use in meddling into people's issues. There is no use of associating emotions to these things. There is no use of spending days and hours and months and years of your life running after something that wouldn't even matter in the long run. So that is what I had to explain from the hadith. If you have anything to add, Irman, I would be very happy to hear you. Or then, inshallah, we can end the session. May Allah enable us to understand the true meaning of this hadith and implement it. May He enable us to fulfill the hours of our day and the years in our life with as much good things for our akhirah as possible. And may He enable us to have the mindset of a stranger in this dunya, as such that we are not emotionally invested in anything in this dunya, and that we are able to detach from things in it. Amin. Wa akhirat da'wana alhamdulillah. Irman, do you have anything to say? Definitely, yes. So we could say that when you feel helpless, sorry, when you feel restless despite doing everything you can, it is a soul feeling homesick. And that is something that people do experience, and it is something that you could try. Sometimes you have this extreme blue, this feeling of sadness, and you don't know the cause of it. It is just there. And often, what people have experienced is that when they do some zikr activity, or like some they do some zikr, or they close the lights of the room and they do this thing called muraqabah, right, where they actually try to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of zikr, or they do some Quranic recitation, or they do some form of ibadah. It's sort of enriching to the soul, it's sort of feeding the soul, and that might make them feel a bit better. Because like, unfortunately, in our society, religion has become something that people have now started feeling very offended by, in a way, because like, for instance, of the point trying to make is about how when somebody is sad, people are just like, oh, make dua, pray. But no, that is not, it is true for so many people, right? But it's not something that everyone is going to experience. And hence, like, when I used to hear this thing that if you're feeling sad, just make dua or just pray, I used to feel that, okay, that's not how it works. But then I did realize that it is true for some people, because sometimes people are feeling sad because they haven't fed their soul. The soul is completely malnourished. The soul is feeling homesick. The soul wants to return to its creator. So the soul wants to connect to his creator, because the returning is up to the creator when he will call the soul back. But it can connect to the creator, and that is a really real thing that people feel, because of we have the nafs inside us, and the ruh inside us is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is true, but then again, it's about these things they pass down to us. But over time, people have actually lost the essence of the feelings. And it's now become just words that, acha, if you're feeling sad, namaz padh lo. Yeah, it is a truth. This is real. People do feel better after praying. But unfortunately, जब ये feeling जो जिनकी होती थी, and over time it's just become words that are being said, and hence they've lost the meaning. Because, like, one of the things I used to we've always studied that Islam is Quran is the guide, a book of guidance. What is Quran? Quran is a book of guidance. Quran is a book of guidance. Itna bol ke now it's we've come to a point where people don't feel that it's a book of guidance. And the day you actually realize, like, actually it hits you that, oh my god, yes, this is a book of guidance, that's when you are able to connect with the word. So anytime you are feeling misguided and somebody says open the Quran, it will guide you, you will be able to accept that. But jab tak you haven't been hit with the realization that it is a book of guidance, tab tak you won't be able to understand it. Similarly, jab tak you haven't been hit with the realization that ibadah and connecting to Allah is something that will give you sukoon, itminan, and happiness. Jab tak it has not happened to you, tab tak you cannot understand it. And that's the problem, that people have just now made Islam about saying these things to people, and they might not even be experiencing it. But yes, essentially what you're saying, that is true. So inshallah, we will meet tomorrow, and thank you so much for joining, and we can call it a day.